Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I know this show was supposed to start at 9 a.m., but I just can't sit here and wait for 5 more minutes. So we got started a little bit early, and nice to see those of you here already in the chat room. And we're looking forward to a great show today. Looking forward to talking about the real story of Coral Castle. As you know, or I think you know, and if you don't, you will in a few seconds. This Sunday, I made the trek from Clearwater, Florida, down to Coral Castle in Homestead, Florida. And I spent the day down there checking things out, taking a look, and learning all I could about Coral Castle. And I came back very surprised and somewhat chagrined about the fact that most of what we hear about Coral Castle is very, very poor information. And I wonder if people have done any study at all sometimes when they talk about it. And as I was walking around Coral Castle, I noticed that a piece of Coral Castle had fallen off. So that's actually a piece of the Coral Castle, actually a piece of the rock that they used, or that Edward Leedskalnin used to create Coral Castle. So I have a piece of Coral Castle, and no, I didn't chip it off, and no, I didn't steal it. It was already on the ground. So don't get mad at me. But most of the information we have about Coral Castle is really disinformation, in my opinion. I don't know if it's disinformation. That would indicate a intentional, but it would be misinformation, in my humble opinion. And by the way, I am Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. I spent 20 years as a licensed minister with 3 of the largest denominations on the planet. I'm a Bible college graduate, and I could no longer stay within big time religion because I saw the cracks in big time religion, that it's a fear and guilt control matrix. And I'm here now trying to give you information to enable you to guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, and be your own guru. That's right. The castle bequeathed a part of itself to me. Thank you, Dave. You've been doing a lot of work, and it does make a big difference. I appreciate it so much. And I think one of the problems is most people just show up down there. And let's face it, most people, I don't want to say most, there's a lot of people in the paranormal realm that are just trying to make a quick video, get a lot of views, and they don't really take the time to do much homework. I went down there and there's books there that you can buy, and they have it in a bag, and it's $64 or something. And most people don't want to buy it, I don't think. And to tell you the truth, I didn't really want to buy it. It also included this handy dandy little bookmark, which is, what is that, like a hologram? And that's Mr. Leedskalnin. And that's kind of cool, actually. Look at that. He's a shapeshifter. Who knew that Edward Leedskalnin was a shapeshifter? But that's included in your $60 bundle. Hello, Trisha G. Nice to see you. Hello, Nigel. Been a little while. There's another book included in there, which figures really large into the story of what Coral Castle really was. It's called A Book in Every Home, written by Mr. Leedskalnin himself. And then there's another book in there called Mr. Kant is Not Dead, The Story of the Coral Castle. And it's the real story of the Coral Castle, and it's by a confidant, Orville Irwin. And we're going to lean heavily on this book. And then there's one more book that I got an autographed copy of, and I'm going to do that tomorrow, I think. Maybe 2 more shows. We'll actually talk about Edward Leedskalnin's later work tomorrow. And then we'll talk about, I'll do a book review on the book about Coral Castle, probably the next day. So let's talk about Coral Castle. What is Coral Castle? Gary Baxter says he was a man of slight stature. He was 120 pounds, Edward Leedskalnin. He was a Latvian immigrant. And people don't even realize this or know this. I'm Mystery, nice to see you again, that the Coral Castle was not originally in Homestead, Florida at its current location. It was actually, first of all, down in Florida City, which is some miles to the south. And it wasn't even originally called Coral Castle. It was originally called the Rock Gate. So Edward Leedskalnin, and we'll just call him Edward, or Ed as he liked to be called. Ed actually came over from Latvia. He was an immigrant. He moved over from Latvia. And he got this location, and he actually built Rock Gate initially as an opportunity to induce the love of his life to come over to follow him from Latvia over to the United States of America. So I know you've heard a lot of things. I know you've read a lot of things about why Coral Castle was created, but the number one reason it was created is because Ed was in love with a girl that stayed in Latvia. And Ed was trying to create something impressive for her to woo her over. And probably more importantly, he was trying to create a source of income so he could bring her over. Nothing wrong with any of that. Although it does fly in the face of some of what we've taught about Coral Castle. And I don't think it lessens Ed in any way. It just shows that Ed was an entrepreneur. It shows that Ed was a hard worker. It shows that Ed was a romantic at heart. And it shows that Ed had a plan and he worked his plan. And it shows that Ed was a guy that couldn't say no or never met a challenge that he couldn't defeat. So he originally built the Rock Gate down the road in Florida City, Florida, again, with the intention of trying to get this girl, talking about giving a girl big, yeah, trying to get this girl to come over from Latvia. And ultimately, she declined to come. And that was the birth, and of course, this is my opinion from research, of the birth of this book called A Book in Every Home. And this was a book that Ed himself wrote. And the book, thank you, Think Simply. So Ed wrote this book, and in this book, he talks about, and you could see where this was coming from because this girl said, no, I'm not going to come. Ed writes this book, and this book talks about how young girls should not be allowed to date before they're 16 years old. So his love obviously was very young. And when he came over to America, if you read between the lines, she started seeing other boys. And part of the book talks about how girls shouldn't date when they're young. Another part of the book talks about how parents should enforce this. So Ed was not happy with his love. He wasn't happy with his love's mother. And in fact, that explains one of the reasons why there's one super ugly and uncomfortable chair built in Coral Castle, and it's called the mother-in-law's chair. So Ed was a little bit upset. So he wrote about how 16-year-old girls shouldn't be dating other people. Ed was a little upset. So he wrote that mothers should be keeping their 16-year-old girls in check. And then Ed also wrote what some might call a diatribe, but I would certainly say it was his opinion about the low moral standard of the United States of America and how that we should get back to proper morals. And he was a little upset, understandably. He was a little heartbroken, understandably. So he builds Coral Castle. His date of birth, Tricia, let me give you his date of birth. He was a little upset. So let's go Edward Leedskalnin, date of birth. January 12, 1887, Tricia. January 12, 1887 in Riga, R-I-G-A, Latvia. So that's his date of birth. But I mean, put yourself in this guy's position. He comes to America. He tries to build this great place. He tries to build an attraction where he can have a source of secure income. And she disses him, says no. So what does he do? Most people might just give up and go back to Latvia. Most people might just give up and say, oh, the hell with this, I'll do something else. But what Ed did is he said, you know what? I'm off the beaten path down here in Florida City. If I could move my Rock Gate and all my sculptures up to Homestead, which is kind of the main thoroughfare between Miami and the Keys, the Florida Keys, he figured, you know what, I could get more visitors. So is Ed still thinking, you know what, if I start ringing in the money, that maybe she will come over when she sees what a great success I've made. So anyway, long story short, he moves up to Homestead, Florida. He moves up to Homestead, Florida, and a lot of it was already built, but not. He moved his sculptures, the inside sculptures. A lot of them were already built, so he moves them up to Homestead, and even the names of the pieces originally were all talking about his love story for this young lady. But then he moved up to Homestead to create more income, moved up to Homestead to create more of a attraction. If you build it, she will come. Very good. That's funny. And he decided, you know what? I'm going to build an attraction. Now, some people have likened him to Tesla, and I'm not trying to defame him, but Ed was much more P.T. Barnum than Nikola Tesla. Ed was involved in trying to make an attraction that people really would want to come and see. Ed was trying to make an attraction that wanted to, I don't know that she called the wedding off a day before the ceremony. I've never read that, Gary. That didn't come up into my research. And I'm not sure what Justin's doing here, but we're going to remove that because, you know, this isn't a place where you come and preach. You add something that's relevant, or you don't add anything at all. But at any rate, oh, he read it in a book, did Gary? Okay. Well, he comes up. All right, Justin, bye-bye. This is the spirit of Antichrist. I'll give you one more chance to hang around, get some information, because you're here because you want to unindoctrinate yourself, whether you know it or not. So I'll give you one more chance. But I'd hate to have to ban you, but you can't be a jerk here. It's just not allowed. So here he is. He's trying to build a better an attraction. He's P.T. Barnum, and I got nothing wrong with that. I have a lot of respect for P.T. Barnum. He creates this place where people are coming, you know. He creates this place where people are enjoying it. He creates this unbelievable cool stuff. And here he is creating this. And there's a lot of talk about that he used, you know, magic, or he used the same things that they did with the pyramids. You know, there's a lot of talk about that he used some type of crazy stuff. Well, let's talk about, in his own words and in the words of a man that was there to watch him create Coral Castle, let's talk about how it was really created. Let's talk about, he was a life path one, Jeff, a leader, an inventor, etc. Absolutely he was. Very perfect, Tricia. Thank you. So let's go and talk about, we're reading from Mr. Kant is Dead. And this is from Orville Irvin, a confidant of Edward Leeds Skolnick. And we're going to go ahead and read about how Ed created Coral Castle. And we're going to go to page 38 of this book. And I'm going to read a little bit to you, so I hope that you will be okay with that. All righty. So here's what Ed did. He dug trenches 36 inches wide and 84 inches long. After the trenches were dug, he would drive iron wedges under the bottom edge of the plot. That would break the rock loose from the ground, making it a piece of quarried stone weighing about 6.5 tons. Each of these stones formed one section of a main outside wall. So if you remember yesterday, and I'll show you this if I can, how we had the pictures yesterday, and you can go back to yesterday's show and see the pictures of it. Let's see if I can get back to my photos and show you the outside walls of Coral Castle. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen with you. And we're going to look at these pictures again as much as possible. Let me see if I can find the picture of the outside walls of Coral Castle, because that's what we're talking about. I didn't really get many of the outside walls pictures. Well, if you look at this picture, and this is the lovely Sophia, Sandra D'Angelo's daughter, you know, these are the outside walls right here. And so he would dig these trenches and then drive iron wedges under them, and it would break and create these big sections that he used to create all of the outside walls. So all of these outside walls were created by, digging them out of, oh, there's a good picture, digging them out of the ground. He quarried these on site. So that's what he would do with these out. That's how we'd make these outside walls. The weight of the stones he calculated by figuring out what 1 cubic foot weighed. And then he would multiply it by the total cubic feet. And then in raising these 6 1/2 ton stones from the hole where they were cut and broken loose, he used the method of the ancient Greek mathematician and inventor Archimedes. And Archimedes said, "Give me a fulcrum and a lever and I can move the earth." So contrary to popular belief, he was not using levitation methods. He was not using ancient wisdom used to build the pyramids. He was not using magic. He was not using sorcery. He was not using anything other than the ancient, time-tested methodologies of Archimedes. So what Ed would do, and this is from an eyewitness. I'm sorry if it upsets some of the things that you've read and want to believe, but we're about finding the reality here. So what he would do is he would slowly pry, jack, chalk, and repeat this process a little at a time. The next operation was to raise the stone up out of the ground and stand it on its end, straight in line with the other stones. He never had any help in cutting, designing, or lifting any of his stones. Once the stone was high enough, he'd slip a chain around the upper end, make a tripod out of 3 carefully selected sturdy pine logs, chain them together at the top, and set it up over the stone. He would hang a chain hoist that he could operate himself from the tripod and connect the hook to the chain around the stone. Then he would slowly raise the stone. He was very safe. He never took any chances. There are 65 of these stone sections in the wall, and each one took about a week's work. When anyone came, he would stop his work. It wasn't to be secretive, but it was because the weight of these stones, it was common sense not to work with anyone around. And the author says here that success is 90% perspiration, and it certainly applies here. And then when he built this tower, this is the tower where he lived. It says when he built, and you can see the individual sections, when he built the tower, the floor was about 10 feet high above the ground level. The upper room was the living quarters, and down below was his equipment or tool room. The building of the tower used the same slow process, except that the tripod poles had to be higher and stronger, and a sophisticated triple block chain hoist had to be used. So I'll show you the inside of this building. I think if I go backwards, that's the first place we went. At least you're getting a nice view of Coral Castle. I want to show you the inside of the room we're talking about. There's a good view of the outside walls that we were talking about. And there's Sandra and Sophia. More good views of the outside walls. So it gives you an idea of what we're talking about and the idea of how he built this thing. Pretty crazy, huh? Okay, now we're getting back to his okay, this is the inside of that. This is the bottom part of where he lived. This is his tool room. And, obviously more tools. And then this is the upstairs that they're talking about. This is where actually his living quarters, and that's not actually his bed. His bed hangs up from the ceiling and lowers down, but it looked about like that. So that's the room we're talking about right here. So around 1940, most of the work was complete, but he kept working on the smaller stone projects like the well, the entrance gate, and some general cleaning up, like filling the massive holes caused by removing the wall stones. And I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but let me try and show it to you anyway. Let me stop share. Okay, let's see how well you can see this. This is a picture of those tripods that he was using. See, there's the way he built this thing. And this isn't an artist rendering. This is a picture. And that's how he would move these stones around with those tripods. There was no magic. There was no hocus pocus. It was just plain old geometry, hard work, and ingenuity. So there's nothing at all wrong with it being that. And I'm not trying to defame him in any way, but it's important for us to be honest and realistic about what was going on there. And why you've never heard this before, I'm not sure, because it doesn't make as good a show. It's not as clickbaity, but that's how he would move these things, and he would do it by himself. See if I can find anything else. And here's kind of a picture of how he would cut his stones out. You know, here's the big stone, and then he would use a fulcrum, and he'd put stuff underneath there and just jack it up, bigger, till this thing was sitting up. Then he'd use the pulley to pull the thing up. So it was very, very simple and very, very easy, meaning it can be done, but it was a lot of hard work. So it wasn't magic. It wasn't hocus pocus. It wasn't anything. I don't know why people think it's not so remarkable. When you're talking about this type of engineering by one guy, that's remarkable. It doesn't have to be hocus pocus to be remarkable. It doesn't have to be hocus pocus to be interesting. It's chains, it's boards, it's logs, and boom. This is what the man did. And this is how the man did it. Check that out. It's a very simple, albeit not easy process. I won't bore you with much more of this, but this is how he built it. Putting them on logs, rolling them around. A 120-pound man doing this all by himself. This is what he did. These are Ed's drawings. It's how he did it, bros. It's how he did it, sisters. Amazing stuff. Here's some of the sections in the pit. I don't know if you can really see those. But this is what the man did. This is why it took him 28 years to complete this project. Very fascinating. Now, at the end of his life, he began to talk about radio and about electromagnetism. But I want you to understand that it was at the end of his life, long after Coral Castle was built, that he started talking about electromagnetism, that he started talking about radio, that he started talking about these different things. And tomorrow we're going to get into some of the great discoveries of Edward Leeds-Skalnin and how he does begin to approach Tesla in research, but not in application. Coral Castle was built by good old-fashioned elbow grease and human ingenuity. So let's go back at the top and see what people have to say. I have a feeling there might be some people that are cross, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not ignoring your question. Think simply, it's just not the place for it right now. I have no indication he was Mormon. I would say absolutely, probably not. There's absolutely no indication that he would be Mormon. Okay, most women are not worthy of me, says Nigel. Let's address that. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Well, not boys and girls, but ladies and gentlemen. The fact of the matter is that most people are not worthy of you. You give you away too cheaply. Don't settle. Hold out. Well, he's pretty good except for this and that and this. She's not bad except for this and that and this. Don't wait. Don't accept the this and that and this. Wait for the one that is right for you. Wait until your blink goes bing and says, yes, this is the one. But what if my blink says, oh, this is the one, but they don't quite look the way I want them to look? Well, you got a choice. Do you want to be with someone that's right for you, or you don't want to be with someone that has a look that you've pre-decided you want? Because let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be 55 years old next year, and I've begun to notice that Number one, beauty's common. There's a lot of beauty out there. There's not a lot of character. And number two, that no matter what happens, no matter how much Botox, no matter how much exercise, no matter how much good eating, sooner or later, people's physical appearances change. Now, I'm not going to say they degrade, but they change. So if you're focused on the physical appearance, you're focused on something that will of necessity change. And it could be argued that it goes from the greater to the lesser as far as what we call beauty. So physical beauty will decline over time. That's a law. Spiritual beauty will increase over time. That's a law. Which law do you want to live in conjunction with? Which law do you want to have in your life operating? Now, I'm not saying that you should find someone that you don't think is very attractive, but all I'm saying is balance the two, my brothers. Balance the two, my sisters. And let's put it this way. I did a lot of counseling as a pastor, and I've talked to a lot of people that got in trouble because they married somebody for what they look like, and very few people that ever got in trouble for marrying people because of what they thought like. People that marry character are much more successful than people that marry looks. And I don't want to get into looks because looks are get into marriage, because I think marriage is kind of a sham. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Florida City isn't a tourist attraction. Angels, you're absolutely right. So he built an attraction. He absolutely did. Oh, unfortunately, it didn't become an attraction to the girl in the end. My old Canadian mate says that women are emotional black holes. I do not endorse that, Nigel. I do not endorse that. I do not endorse that. A lot of women can be rude to men, but a lot of men can be rude to women. Guess what, folks? I don't know how this turned into lovers' advice, but can I just say there's probably almost 4 billion of each out there, men and women. So you don't have to get too hung up on any one particular one. If it's not the right one, move on. They're like buses. There'll be another one along in 5 minutes, men or women. Wait for the right one. If you're waiting at a bus stop, you don't get on the first bus that comes. It may not be going to the destination you want to go, but it's a pretty bus. I like the way that bus looks. I like the picture on that bus. I like the body on that bus. I like the wheels on that bus. They go round and round. But you don't jump on any old bus. You wait for the bus that's going to the destination you want to go to. Even if the destination you want to go to may not be the absolute perfect looking bus, you know it's going to take you to the destination you want to go to. So I guess, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, the question is, where's the destination you want to go to? Anyway, enough from Jeff's lovelorn information. I think if everyone stopped playing games, it'd be better for relationships in general. Yeah, but that's not going to happen because it is a game. And that's not always bad. It's a game. There's give and take. And if it stops being a game, I think that's where it gets bad. You always want it to be a game. You want it to be the game of amour. And I got to make sure I'm not burning these tiles. Yeah. Not all games are bad. Anyway. Once upon a time in a land of the South, I'll sing you a song. Find a little help from your friends. He didn't even need any help. He would be driven by wealth and fame, says Trisha G, a 88 in his chart. So that lines up exactly with what I'm saying. He wanted to build an attraction, number one, to bring that girl, number two, to create an income, which he successfully did, and number three, to leave a legacy. And he died in 1951, and this is 2017. So how many years is that? 61, 71, 81, 91, 2001, 2011, 2020, almost 70 years later, we're still talking about Edward Leedskalnin. 70 years later, and when Sandra and I were there, it was remarkable. We both noticed this Sunday in December, and there was close to 50 people there touring that place. Shocked me. I didn't think there'd be that many people interested in Coral Castle. So as Trisha has told us from his numerology, he was driven by wealth, fame, and he accomplished wealth and fame. He was a number one, which means he would be an inventor, which he obviously was. Well, that's not as exciting, but yeah, it is realistic. Exactly, Dean. It's not as exciting. But it really is, if you think about it. One 120-pound dude created that whole place by his damn self. To me, that's exciting. It's almost more exciting that he didn't use some type of levitation or some type of black magic. He just did it by plain, flat out hard work. And it kind of gives you a new perspective on all the speculations about the pyramids as well. Truth is way better than any fantasy. I agree, Gary. Or that wasn't Gary, that was Nigel. Oh, no, that was Gary. Darn it, I was hooked on sound technology, says April Corvin Ahmed. But April, tomorrow we're going to talk about the research of Edward Leeds Scullin long after Coral Castle was completed, and we'll get into that. He wrote some books. Did I bring them with me? I did not, because I have to finish them, but he wrote some books about technology and radio and electricity and stuff, and he was starting to approach the work of Mr. Tesla, I think. I think that's cool. I think that's very cool. I think I got my $60 worth. So I dropped a hundo out there, but it was worth it. That's called research. And like Rex says, a lot of people are just repeaters. There's very few researchers. So I like to think that I fall into the latter, a researcher. So anyway, I'm sure she already knows. Think simply, jump in and assume, dude. Yeah, I agree. Don't assume, because you assume it makes an ass out of you and me. So Jeff, when do we start building your new castle? No interest in building a castle. And Tricia says there's nothing wrong with wealth. I agree. Wealth gives you more options. And personally, I'm looking for a little more of it. I mean, look at where we were 6 months ago. Go look at one of my old videos. Listen to the sound, if you can. Look at the background. Look at the video quality. It was pretty sad. So now, what's changed? I'm still the same guy. I'm still bringing the same message, but some of you great people have said, you know what, that brother could use a little help. And you sent me some help, and we've transformed this into a high-quality microphone, a high-quality soundboard, a high-quality computer. We still need a little bit of work on the camera, high-quality lighting, high-quality soundproofing within the studio. And all of a sudden, things look a lot better. Nothing wrong with wealth. Money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. And I'll be frank with you, I'm hoping that if these videos help you and add to your life, that you will meditatively consider sponsoring this work so we can get bigger and better, go to more places like Coral Castle. And you can do that with the super chat below, the $ below where you type in your comments, or you can go to jeffdaugherty.com and share there through the donate button. And you don't even have to have PayPal to do it. And I do want to share this with you, because this is really how I'm planning to fund our nationwide work, where we're going to be on the road. And we already started that last Sunday. Go here, click on the Mistech logo. Read about Mistech, how it helps me sleep half the time and get twice the rest, how it improves my performance in the gym, makes it easier to fast. And Jen Fisher is echoing these now. Great improvement in meditation, astral projection, other spiritual practices, greatly increased my energy and vitality. Gentlemen, I won't go into details, but if you're using Viagra and Cialis, you won't have to anymore. And this isn't going to give you any crazy, awful side effects. Click here, look at the products, decide which product you want. Do not order from this website. Go back to my website, Jeff. Here's my name. Here's my email. Mistech is what I'm interested in. Here's what I want. Tell me what you want, size, color. I'll send you a PayPal invoice, and you're going to get a full 20% off. So it's good for you. You get 20% off. It's good for Mistech and Halo. And by the way, he'll be on Thursday again for a great show. But it's also good for the Christian Whistleblower work, because I get dollar here, dollar there. And it enables me, dollar here, dollar there. Sooner or later, you're talking about real money. It enables me to go to Coral Castle. It enables me to actually do the research and, buy the books that make for real research and not for speculation. It enables me to, bring people down to help me get more quality work. It's what, and be frank with you, I would be on my way to Georgia Guidestones today, but I have to wait on the Mistech order to get here so I can send it out to all of you. I don't know if we're going to get it to you by Christmas. I'm sorry, but it's Christmas and it's just one of those things. But normally, Halo's going to talk about this. Normally, it takes about a week to 10 days, but we're working on improving that process. So we're going to get them to you right away. But I want you to know I didn't go to Georgia Guidestones today, so I can wait for the Mistech delivery so I can get them out to you post haste. So that's what I want you to do. And it's going to change your life. It's going to change my life because I'm able to go and do more things. And that's going to change your life because you get to see how many of you would have ever gone to Coral Castle. I'm guessing not many of you would have been able to. Now you've had a great tour of Coral Castle. How many of you can go to the Georgia Guidestones? I'm guessing not a whole lot of you can. But guess what? When we go to the Georgia Guidestones, you'll be there with me. And not only, it won't be like Coral Castle with some Nazi telling you can't take a video. We'll be doing great videos up there at Coral Castle. And I think Amanda, is it Amanda? There's 3 or 4 people up there, and I hope they all get to meet me there. But I know at least one of them is going to meet me there and help out. So there you go. I believe people are addicted to the materialistic world. What's up with the new background? That's the super duper acoustic tiles that keep my neighbors from hollering at me and gives you a better sound quality. I really like pretty shiny things. Nothing wrong with that. So do I. I like pretty shiny things as well. Seems dangerous to do it by yourself. It was dangerous, but I understand, Edward, because I had this problem and I'm learning to overcome it. If you do it yourself, you know it's going to be done your way. That's all I'll say. And can we keep the drama out of the chat room? Silly, silly people. Silly, silly people. I'm going to remove this stuff because I just think it's silly. All right. Human ingenuity. That's right. Davey says it's all darn human ingenuity. Absolutely. And I think that's pretty exciting to me. Sorry, the chat jumped on me, so I got to go back. I believe that, Jeff. Do you think sound tech is interesting, though? Absolutely. It's very interesting. And I think you're going to enjoy the show tomorrow that talks about his delving into those subjects. He wrote some white papers on them, which I also have. It's amazing when you spend a few dollars, then you become actually doing real research. And when you great people give me the few dollars to spend, it all works. And I appreciate it. It's amazing what one person can do if they care to do something. Absolutely right. 28 years for one project. Francis says she finds this more interesting than the Hocus Pocus stories. Thank you, Francis. I do as well. That's how they made and moved the Moai on Easter Island. Interesting. I don't agree. He used levitation. The drawings are to misdirect. Okay, Rob, you can agree with it. You can believe that. But Ed says he did it this way. There's photographic evidence he did it this way. And the guy that was there checking on him 2, 3, 4 times a week said he did it this way. So you can also believe, Rob. And I mean, when you come here and you share an opinion, you're welcome to do it, but you better be ready for an opinion to come right back at you, Rob Barbaria. In 5 days, when you wake up, there's going to be presents around a tree in your house. Now, you can believe that some guy in a red suit flew from the North Pole on a sleigh and came down your chimney magically and left those presents for you. You can believe that. Or you can believe the reality that your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your loved ones bought those presents, wrapped them up, and put them under the tree when you weren't looking. You can believe that Santa, jolly old Saint Nick, came down your chimney while visions of sugar plums were dancing in your cute little head while it was laying on your pillow in your warm, snuggly, and cozy bed. You can believe that. But unfortunately, my brother, I have to tell you, reality is something different. So you can believe levitation. You can believe all that stuff if that's what you need to float your little boat merrily, merrily, merrily down the stream. That's not what happened, my friend. I'm sorry to break it to you. So anyway, there you go. Thank you so much for that donation, that support. I salute you. He used a magnet motor to cut the stone with a big metal door saw. Okay. You're great, Jeff. Nice advice. Oh, thank you. You can put a tuxedo on a goat, but it's still a goat. You can put a party dress on a goat, and it's still a goat. What do you want to project yourself as to attract? There you go. You can't make a silk purse out of a pig's ear. No, you can't. Marriage is a sham. I have to agree with that. I saw a YouTube video that explained what and how this guy built the castle and the tools he used to build it. Oh, Eric, you saw it on YouTube. It must be true. Again, there's facts and there's fancy. The legal institution is a sham, not a true love partnership. I agree, Caroline. Very well stated. Oh, here's Justin back doing the Jesus spam. Bro, you can't come in here and just Jesus spam us. So guess what? You get put in timeout again. And I should just ban you, but anyway. Buses, exactly. Listen to Jeff. Nice bus, yeah. Quit looking outside of yourself or your soulmate. I agree. Much of that is da-da-da-da. Ed was all about hustle. He was. Ed was all about the hustle. And there's not enough of that hustle anymore. Sterling says he watched some of those sorry old videos, but he appreciates the information. Thank you so much. Great breakdown of this story. I've always wondered how he did this. Thank you, Tanya. Have a great day. Need to find the block button. Yeah, I know what you mean, Trisha. I got to start using it more prodigiously. I try to give people a chance because I hate to kick somebody out of the lifeboat. But sharks need to eat too. Oh, that's a great analogy. I love it. Catherine, you're the best. Thank you so much from Beirut and for that support. Love you. What to do when you die. That was great. Yeah, I know. That's my fault. I haven't sent that information to Heidi. Blame me. I'll get it to her. Don't love money. Just use it as needed. You should have the woman from the Ask Angels channel on your show. I know she's awesome. Okay, I'll do it. Ask Angels, send me an email, christianwhistleblower.com, and we'll do it. We will do it. I'm a small, short, skinny, 100-pound woman, and I can move anything in my house and refrigerator, table, couch, bed, washer. You can do anything you want. Robin, you go, girl. I appreciate you very much for adding that. Solstice tomorrow. Is the solstice tomorrow? Let's do meditate for the liberation of the planet. Shawnee, Momini, thank you so much. You got timed out because you guys were dramaing about some kind of stuff, and this isn't the place for drama. Save the drama for your mama. So anyway. Oh, I'm seriously late. Must rewatch. Yes, Denise, it's worth rewatching, I think. We try to keep things tight and focused. I'll be glad to answer your question. Now that we're finished with the show, I'll answer your questions about King James. The reason why the true words of the Christ are in the King James Version, the 20% that's diamond are there, is because I believe the Elohim made sure that it would be there so that those with ears to hear and eyes to see could dig through it and find it. Think of the analogies about the pearl of great price. Think of the analogies about, sweeping through the whole house and trying to find the good stuff and getting it and then selling everything else, getting rid of all the dung. I already answered you, Kirk Anthony, once. So I think that's what it's all about. Me either think simply, but see, you're doing it again right now. So me and I forget. See, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, they made sure that the truth was available to us, but we had to dig and look for it. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the real story of Coral Castle. That's what really happened. Whoops, doggone it. Nigel, I hit the wrong button on you, bro. Add moderator. Okay, I think you're back. I just didn't like that one comment. I was going to take that comment out. There we go. So, Sterling's back. I don't know if King James was illiterate, but King James didn't write it. King James had it written. Hello, Jennifer. Nice to see you. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the real story of Coral Castle. Maybe not as sexy, but actually, I think even more interesting overall. And then I understand it was a joke, Nigel, but you have people looking for reasons to slam me. Literally, we have people coming on my channel, taking out snippets of what I say, taking out screenshots of comments, and then making these hate videos. I love it because there's no such thing as bad publicity. And the more people and the best way to make somebody not do something is to make a rule against. If you want somebody to do something, make a rule against it. So when they make these videos, Jeff is a jerk, it drives more people to this channel. So I'm all happy for it, but I don't want to give them the club to beat my head over with, beat me over the head with, if you know what I mean, Nigel. And that could have been one where they could have pulled it and stuck it in there. This is what Darty endorses on his channel. I love the haters. They help bring more people to this channel. They help remind me that I'm on the right path, because you're not much of a cowboy if you're not taking a few arrows. And it is the pioneers that take all the arrows. It is, Nigel, we can't have fun because some people are stupid. And I'm sorry, but I think stupid is the perfect description of how those people are. So anyway, much love to the haters. I support your work. I hope you keep doing it, because I can use all the help I can get driving people to this broadcast. There's Jen Fisher, who says that her Mistec bans have helped her appetite be very much suppressed, which I guess is a good thing. And get these Mistec bans, help a brother out, and help a brother, sister, your own self out. And it's amazing stuff. So tomorrow or later today, I'll come back with the technology of Edward Leedscalen late in his life. After Coral Castle was built, he got deep into radio. He got deep into electricity. He got deep into magnetism. And he gave us some really good stuff. Like Terrier says, you can't fix stupid. And you really can't fix stupid, and the reason why you can't fix stupid is because stupid doesn't want to be fixed. Stupid is as stupid does, as the great American philosopher Forrest Gump said. Angels here to observe. I don't think let me see, angels here to observe, and send me an email. Think simply, Catherine O'Hara, Shawnee, Momini. I did not, angels. It just may not have shown up, but if it came out of your account, then I'm sure it came through. But just for a note, YouTube does take a portion of the super chats. So if you want to make sure that you're not giving YouTube any portion, just go straight to, just do this. I'll show you. And I'm not trying to, cut YouTube out, but just to make you know, they do take a significant portion of it. So if you want it all to go to me, just go to the front page here, hit the donate button right there, and hit the donate button right there. You can donate with PayPal. If you want to make it a monthly donation, you can do that as well, or you can donate with your debit or credit card. And you can also designate your donation, your support, for what you want to do. Jeff, this is for travel. Jeff, this is for the studio. All of the studio's almost built out. Jeff, this is for upgrading the Beaver, the RV, to get it ready to roll. Jeff, this is for shortwave radio, which is going to kick off at the beginning of the year. Or you can just say this is general and slam it through. But if you do order your Mistech, make sure, if you can, that you add the word Mistech to your donation report. And it's just that easy. And I really appreciate every one of you. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you. And I'm not trying to ruin somebody's Christmas, by telling them that Coral Castle wasn't built with magic or any of this other technology. It's just real, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you to understand reality. I want you to understand truth. And to me, it's much better that Ed did not do it by magical means, because it shows you what one man, one woman with a mission can do. And we're all about guiding our own spirit, mastering our own ascension, being our own guru. If Ed did Coral Castle all by himself, with nothing but means that are available to every single one of us, think what we can do. What Coral Castle will you build in your life? What Coral Castle will you build in your life? What legacy will you leave? What will you do in this world that will have people talking about you 70 years after your death? Each and every one of you has something within you. Each and every one of you has a Coral Castle within yourselves. My job is to help you find your Coral Castle. My job is to help you equip yourself for your Coral Castle. 70, 80, 90, 100 years after we're dead, every single one of us can leave a legacy. What's your Coral Castle? That wouldn't be a bad question to ask yourself at night before you go to sleep. What's my Coral Castle? What's my Coral Castle? What's my Coral Castle? Put your mind to work. Put your mind to work. Let it give you answers, ladies and gentlemen. He did it with magic, the magic of love. Robin, goosebumps. Thank you. Great job. What is your Coral Castle, ladies and gentlemen? I'll be back later with more broadcast excellence. Until then, I'm encouraging you to continue to be your own guru, to continue to guide your own spirit, to continue to master your own ascension. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, being divine, being sovereign, being free is a process. And even though it doesn't feel like it, you're right where you need to be. Don't stop until you're free. Ask questions, question answers, and stay fearless. My friends, I salute you, because if you're here, even if you think you're here to hate, you're really here because you have the desire to be great. You're here, ladies and gentlemen, to unindoctrinate yourself.